Hi Rock buddies, it's Papa. Hope you guys are doing great. Grammy and I are down here at Fort DeSoto Park in St. Pete camping, and it's like mosquito city everywhere, but that's not what we want to talk about today. Today we are going to talk about Seneca Rox in West Virginia and why Seneca Rox is a clue to the taconic orogeny, also called the Taconian orogeny, or mountain building event. So if you like this video, please subscribe. It helps me so much, and thanks to everyone who has subscribed. And here we go with Seneca Rox, a clue to the taconic orogeny. Seneca Rox is a rock outcrop located in West Virginia. This super interesting rock outcrop is located in the Spruce Knob Seneca Rox National Recreation Area, which is administered by the United States Forest Service. To get to Seneca Rox, you go to Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is in the red square, and I see I've left off the H, so we'll call it Harrisonburg, Virginia. You take Highway 33 west, it goes into West Virginia, then hang a right on 28/55. This is a wonderfully remote area. All up and down the road that leads to Seneca Rox, there are U.S. Forest Service campgrounds that are pretty nice. This one is called Seneca Shadows, and you can see Seneca Rox rising up in the background. This is where Grammy and I camped when we came, but that's not us because that person does not have gray hair. This map shows the physiographic provinces of the eastern United States. Physiographic just means the land shape. The pinkish area along the coast is the flat, sandy coastal plain province. The green area marks the rolling hills of the Piedmont province. The two different shades of red color mark the Blue Ridge province, and it's divided into eastern Blue Ridge and western Blue Ridge geologic provinces. The orangey brown color is the Valley and Ridge province, which is made up of some really nice valleys separated by long, narrow ridges. And this is where Seneca Rox is located. In fact, Seneca Rox is located in the very far western section of this Valley and Ridge province, and you can look up into the west and see the Appalachian plateau rising up above the Valley and Ridge. This is a cool 3D rendition of the area. The red line sits right on top of the Appalachian plateau. You can see the escarpment where you come down off the Appalachian plateau into a valley, and then Seneca Rox is located on the other side of that valley, marked here by the black rectangle. And without further ado, here are Seneca Rox, or here is Seneca Rox. There are two of them. They rise right up out of the valley, and you can tell they're pretty thin fins just sticking straight up into the sky. And crazy people, I mean adventurous people, come from all over the place just to rock climb up these narrow fins called Seneca Rox. For us less adventurous folks, there's a really nice trail that goes pretty close to the top. It's about 1.3 miles, and Grammy and I climbed that trail to as far as we could go. This is a view that looks up to the top of the fins, and this is as far as Grammy and I went because there was a big sign that said, "Papa and Grammy, don't go any further." Just kidding. There is a sign that says don't go any further. A lot of young folks climb to the very top, but Grammy and I thought that discretion was the better part of valor. This is a view from up on top of Seneca Rox looking west, and you can see the Appalachian Plateau rising up right there. Beautiful. Seneca Rox is made of rock layers that were laid down long ago, and we'll talk about that. But as you start on the trail, the first rock you see in abundance is this, and it's called Tuscarora Sandstone or meta-sandstone because it's partially metamorphosed. All these rocks are rocks that really belong up top with the Seneca Rock fins, but the weathering and erosion process has broken them loose and they've fallen down here and accumulated at the base of the trail. The next rock you see as you rise higher on the trail is this Martinsburg Shale. And this shale was laid down in a deep foreland ocean basin. As you keep going up, you'll see some of this, not a lot of it. This is Juniata siltstone, and it was laid down on top of the Martinsburg Shale long ago. As you get higher and higher, you begin to see outcrops of the material that Seneca Rox is made out of, and that's Tuscarora sandstone. Long, long ago, this Tuscarora sandstone was a beautiful white beach laid down on top of the Juniata siltstone. This beautiful giant beach covered a huge extensive area and running all up and down the eastern United States. It's also called the Massanutten sandstone. In Virginia and in Tennessee, it's called the Clinch sandstone. And this is a super cool example of the Tuscarora sandstone that I wanted to show you. All those lines are worm burrows that were made in the sand. And these wormy little creatures were probably living out in the sandbar just off the beach. Here's yet another example of Tuscarora sandstone, but this example has these smooth, rounded pebbles in it that let you know that this was a river deposit, probably the Coastal Plain River. These are some pretty cool rocks, rock buddies, but what do they have to do with the taconic orogeny, also called the Taconian orogeny, and how are they clues to what happened? Well, let's find out. The taconic orogeny was the first major mountain building event in the process of the assembly of the supercontinent Pangaea. It occurred during the Ordovician time period, which lasted from about 500 million years ago to about 450 million years ago. In this Crayola drawing of the taconic orogeny, you see the volcanic island, which represents a volcanic island chain. That's the triangular structure with the red circles in it, is approaching the mainland to the left, and it is pushing down on the continental crust. This has created a foreland basin between the island chain and the continent, and this foreland basin is deep on the right side and more shallow on the left side. In the beginning of this orogeny, there is not much material eroding off this volcanic island, only a little bit of very fine dark mud which settles down in the deep part of the foreland basin on the right. This dark mud deposit almost always happens at the very beginning of a mountain building event, so it is the diagnostic feature to let us know that a mountain building event has begun. And in the case of the taconic orogeny, it is the Martinsburg Shale that we find on the trail as we hike up to the top of Seneca Rox. Now the taconic mountains begin to erode in earnest, bringing down coarser material like the silt of the Juniata siltstone that gets laid down on top of the Martinsburg Shale. Now the Juniata is red. That means on its way down the mountain it was exposed to air and the iron in it was oxidized, giving it its reddish color. As erosion continued in earnest, tremendous amounts of sand came down out of the mountains, spreading out to form the very extensive Tuscarora beaches. This extensive layer of clean white sand beaches almost always marks the end of an orogeny. And in the case of our taconic orogeny, this clean layer is, you guessed it, the Tuscarora Sandstone of Seneca Rox. The reason that the Tuscarora Sandstone is clean and whitish is the same reason that almost all beach sand is clean and white. The ocean waves have pounded it and pounded it, taken out all the impurities, and just left clean white sand. Hey rock buds, so what does Seneca Rox tell us about mountain building events? Well, it tells us that most mountain building events begin with a layer of dark mud that turns into blackish shale, and in the case of the taconic orogeny, it's the Martinsburg shale. And most mountain building events end with a layer of clean white sand beaches that turns into sandstone, and in the case of the taconic, it's the Tuscarora Sandstone. So my most excellent rock buddies, I hope this has been helpful. If so, please subscribe. And this is Papa saying happy rock hunting and have a great day. Papa out.